Okay, say it and then we'll
Hello, and welcome to another review of
anything.
Today,
We have special guest
yep,
Dakota Barnett.
Hi.
You may know him for being in Zone Fighter as Connor.
Yeah.
And today we're reviewing 10 Cloverfield Lane in sort of anticipation for God Particle.
apparently.
Or supposedly Cloverfield Station?
You asked me, I don't know.
Yeah, Cloverfield Station I think is the supposed title. We're recording this like February 3rd at 3 in the morning. Everyone checks their phones to verify.
I forgot. I didn't think it was February 3rd already.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, so yeah.
January flew by.
Yeah. So maybe by the time this comes out, the movie's been delayed again, or it has a different title. But who knows? Anyway,
It's a Hulu exclusive now.
I thought it was Netflix exclusive.
I'm joking.
Okay. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, we're talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane, and so synopsis: Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Michelle, is leaving her boyfriend, and she's caught in a car accident, and she wakes up in a bunker, and she finds that John Goodman is there. He's sort of running the show there, so to say, and I don't think we should say any more about the plot.
He says that bad things happening on the outside.
Yeah, like something's happened, and he has to keep her in this bunker, and along the way, twists and secrets are revealed.
The trailer kind of alludes to this thought that there's, which side do you take? And the movie kind of alludes to the same premise as to what goes on back and forth, what's outside, and more importantly, what goes on inside for a good portion of the movie. Is really what's kind of funny is the trailer, makes you think that there's a lot more going outside, but you start to kind of understand it's really what's inside that's causing a stir between the people that are, within that little realm of what the movie kind of sets on. It sets on a cool tone.
Yeah, it's a very claustrophobic movie.
Yeah, I think it works to a degree.
Mm-hmm. I guess like overall non-spoilery thoughts before we start going into detail about stuff. Taylor, what do you think?
I like that they took the direction that with the Cloverfield series, they're making it kind of like an anthology series where they all take place in the same universe. They aren't the most connected though, and it has like the thought process of like almost a cinematic universe behind it, in the sense that they want to, expand upon the story, or at least the universe that these movies take place in, but it's always done in a small presentation, in a sense that they aren't ever big and they aren't ever meant to be super big.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Speak a little bit more.
I don't know. I think the movie, like I said before, sets a pretty good tone. I think that there's a premise behind the movie that isn't just based on the thought or idea of kaiju, and I like that because I'm a little bit in between the whole thing, in between that you and Taylour are, where it's, it's all about the monster fight scenes or this, that, and the other. And this has a really good backstory to kind of lead up to a lot of the quote-unquote action that you see somewhat later in the film. Mm-hmm. There's a few nitpicks, but for the most part I thought it was just a pretty good movie for what it was, especially. And for after seeing a few of the trailers when it first came out, I was somewhat interested, but not enough to go see it in the theater, I think. And like being able to finally sit down and watch it, have some time to watch it and kind of really dig into it, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. I think it's a pretty underrated movie. really speaking. Like, you know, hear a lot of people really talking about this, especially when you bring up Cloverfield in general. People always talk about the
found footage.
Yeah, the found footage monster movie.
There's a lot of people that dislike that art style of it, or they don't understand it, I guess.
Yeah.
From what I've understood.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably get more into that when we review that movie.
Yeah.
So we're recording this before we have rewatched that movie. Who knows why. But, yeah, like, I think those people who are going into this movie expecting a straight-up, like, sequel or continuation of some sort to Cloverfield are just setting themselves up for disappointment. Because I even remember when this movie was first being marketed, like, the amount of speculation about, like, oh, is the monster going to appear in this? 'Cause I feel like the marketing initially, obviously you and I, Taylour, saw it when this movie first came out in 2016? Yeah, 2016, in March or whatever. And obviously we learned pretty quickly that this is not in any way a real continuation of the original Cloverfield. It's very much, an anthology. And there's very loose connections to the first movie that we might touch on in spoilers, but yeah, otherwise, I think it's a good movie overall. If you're into science fiction, like in general, or if you enjoyed the first Cloverfield at all, and that kind of like small scale.
You said that you both had seen it in 2016, but have your views changed since obviously newer movies that are kaiju related have come out? With Shin Godzilla having like a different type storyline than most Godzillas have had before, and the strenuous process that, you know, Shin Godzilla had to go through to kind of achieve their goal in that movie. I think this one kind of, I don't want to say it's nearly the same, but it's kind of a strenuous process for Michelle in the movie to kind of get what she had been, you know, she didn't really get to where she wanted to go till the last 10 minutes of the movie. And it was kind of the same way with Shin Godzilla as far as the whole process thing, is the resolution didn't really get presented till the very, very, very end. Like, there wasn't a stair-step situation where it was like, oh, okay, we got this. Mm-hmm. It was just straight to the point and just took a giant nosedive there towards the end. Does your views change at all from 2016 to now as you rewatch this years later?
The views that I had, and that I still have, is that with the Cloverfield movies, they are kind of less about the kaiju and more about the humans. Cloverfield gave a great representation of being in the city while it's happening, and it wasn't ever dull or boring, and it always kept you intrigued and invested with the story. And with this one is, of course, all about how people, not necessarily in the city, would react to something like that happening.
Yeah, like just a major catastrophic event,
yeah.
Really. And like tonally, it's almost a 180 from the original Cloverfield, where as the original is very, like, sort of on the edge of your seat kind of stuff. Everything's frantic. Everything's constantly moving, even though there's not much like monster action. You know, everything is very fast paced. Everyone's on the move. This one is very self-contained in a sense, almost. My views, I don't think have changed much. I still think it's a very good, very underrated movie. I think there's a lot to love. I think some people maybe just can't get past the fact that it's hardly at all like the first Cloverfield movie on like a first glance, but
that's the thing. This movie's not about the monsters. It's about the people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tension throughout the whole movie. And it's like almost, usually you kind of pay attention to the soundtrack or whatever. In a movie to help build the suspense, you're kind of like, oh, the music's getting louder, I guess I'm kind of into it. You don't really focus as much on the music in this movie. At least to me, I don't. I know I'm like looking at scenes and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, what the hell is she about to do? Like, I'm actually generally interested in what he or she is about to do to enhance the situation. Like, I'm not really focused on, okay, the music's getting louder, the situation, like you can kind of just gauge as to how something's kind of gonna go and kind of gonna do shift this way. I didn't really have that as much in this movie, which it's completely fine to me. It doesn't matter to me whether or not the music builds the suspense, or is it, if it's actual general like acting or the scenes or the cinematography that it kind of enhances that mood. And I felt that, I was completely okay with it, but I find a very few movies that give that feel, and it was kind of cool to have something that I'm not, I don't, watch a lot of in that genre, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
To have that experience with it, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, so I guess that's two things to touch on real quick, I guess, before we get into spoiler stuff and more in-depth thoughts on the movie. Soundtrack, overall, I think it
was okay.
It has a theme.
Yeah,
which
I
mean, I'm always like a sucker for good themes in movies, so I guess that's why I enjoy it so much.
It's not something that I would listen to on my own though. I think it's with the movie. I don't know that I'd just go out of my way to listen to something like that.
Yeah, I tried, like, when this first came out, I was like, I really like that theme, and I like got it on iTunes or whatever, Apple Music, and I like tried listening to it a little bit as I'm like driving home or whatever, or just at home editing or something. As good as it is, it's not a theme that sticks with you, I guess.
Yeah,
like, it's not something to listen to.
And I guess it's something. I guess that's something to keep in mind too. Is like, this movie is very good, but it's not memorable. This isn't like a movie that you refer to for anything else. Like, there's no quotable. There's nothing quotable about the movie, in my opinion. There's nothing that stands out about this movie. Besides, I mean, it's a good movie, and it might be underrated as far as people, saying that they haven't either seen it or they don't quite like it. I think it's a good movie, but there's nothing super, super special about this movie that sticks to an audience that they're going to remember forever. I think that's what set this movie apart.
There's not much to really take away from it. It's a really good experience, but once it's over, it's like it was a good time.
Yeah,
because with Cloverfield, that was the first found footage movie that was taken to a grand scale.
And it was also like the first giant monster movie, well, big budget kind of one made in the US since
a while.
Since 98 Godzilla, basically.
Yeah.
And that was a shit show.
Well, yeah. And then last thing to touch on real quick is performances, I think, because I think that's a very big selling point, I guess, for the movie.
By character or just in general?
Actors.
Like the actors in general.
The three actors.
The three actors in the movie. Yeah.
Well, what about... Never mind. John Goodman was great, but I mean, it's hard for him to mess up.
Yeah,
it's hard for him to do anything wrong.
He definitely steals the show anytime he's on screen.
Yeah, his character development in the show, I think, is really, really cool too. And when I say development, I don't even mean some of the psychotic quirks that he carries on that are very, relevant throughout the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it does progress. Like, you just, even when certain things happen towards the end and he's still pushing for the one thing that he wants, and I think he just, he's such a weird, complex, but not really complex. Like, you understand. You almost
side with him.
Yeah, you almost side with him for a little bit, and then you just kind of like, wait, hold on. You probably shouldn't side with him because he's crazy. And you're like, well... He did do this, and you're just back and forth across the room. It's like a giant caucus. You're going back. You're like, I don't know what to do. I'm so on the edge. He provides so much evidence, for everything, and then you see,
his case.
Yeah,
keeping these people down there. Like, you go with him. They should probably stay down there. If what's happening up there is really happening.
But then you're kind of like, well, there's not a lot of proof for what's going on. And then you were given you're given some proof, but then there's other things within the vicinity that kind of
make you question it again.
It's just this back and forth all the time throughout the movie, which I didn't think it was bad. I think it fit because it was so claustrophobic, and I think it was also because. What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do in that close vicinity with, one, a psychopath, and the other guy, they had no, they had,
stranger.
they had nothing. It wasn't like they knew each other prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
It comes a point of, what do? You start questioning everything when you're down there.
Yeah. That was John Goodman. Our lead actress in the movie was Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Mm-hmm. Who you might know from Scott Pilgrim.
She was good. She's done other stuff too.
That's the thing. I don't think she has done much.
Scott Pilgrim's probably your most notable thing. I mean, aside from this, but I mean that's beside the point anyway. But
she kept the story going. There wasn't a time where I was just kind of like, come on, like do something. There was always something that she.
She was a realistic character too. A lot of the shit that she did in there was really realistic. Like, I mean. Do you care if I go into detail now?
Not yet. We're getting
on the edge of spoilers. We'll get into spoilers a little bit, but yeah, like the action she sort of takes against John Goodman as she's like sort of
trying to come to terms
with where she is, what's possibly happening, and like if she should go along with it or not. But like her character almost acts as like a vehicle for the audience to plant themselves in the situation. Which, like her character isn't super complex or intriguing or something. I don't think, but
it doesn't need to be though.
Yeah, and I think that's fine.
I think that's like a typical thing. It's almost like when you're watching those horror movies and you're kind of like, oh, I wouldn't go into that room, and then she doesn't go into that room. There's certain things that you would root for a huge somebody within the movie to do. As an audience, you're like, oh, I would actually do that, or oh, that was smart of her to do. There wasn't any idiocracy with any of the things that she presented herself within the film.
She's a very smart character.
Which I thought was great considering the circumstance that is outlaid throughout the plot, and it's like, whoa, okay, this isn't just some dumb character who just does dumb things because it enhances, whatever, and it creates exposition, and it's like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of good.
Yeah. And then our last character, Emmett, played by...
I don't know the actor.
I do not remember his name. Something Gallagher Jr., I think.
Maybe.
His name will pop up in the video somewhere, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. He's fine.
There wasn't much to him as a character. He's just side character. Even though there's only 3 characters, he somehow managed to just still seem like a side character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, that's not to say he's bad.
No.
But he's definitely the least memorable out of the 3, but I mean, when you're put up against John Goodman's performance in this movie, it's kind of hard to be as up to snuff as that.
He was introduced way hard as a side character as well. His introduction was just like, oh, this is side character. Like, you could totally tell.
John Goodman literally comes in, he's like, oh, I see you've met so and so. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah, she did. And that's it for that. And I think that works too.
Yeah.
Along with him being a side character, there was elements to him that I did like as well, because he wasn't such a. I like all the characters in this because they're not really complex.
Mm-hmm.
And they're easy to understand, but they're not so easy to where there's you're still kind of questioning their motive, which is just that little tug of war in the middle where you're kind of like, what is their motives? Mm. I think you kind of know Michelle's just based on
the situation that she's placed in. So she's trapped in the bunker and she wants out.
Yeah,
that's as simple as it gets, really.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, oh, you know what she wants to do.
I guess we should also talk about the kind of 4th character, Bradley Cooper.
What a complex and deep character.
Yeah. That totally set the tone for the entire film. That Bradley Cooper voice. AKA Ben, so if you didn't know that are watching this review, that little phone call, if you do watch a movie or if you've already seen it, Ben, the one that calls her,
Michelle's boyfriend
that calls her before within the first 10 minutes of the film, before she, dies.
That's Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, it's Bradley Cooper. Spoiler alert, as if you didn't know.
You guys are jerks.
You bring up Bradley Cooper
Is
as
this
the
the
fourth character.
Joke, and you guys immediately just like.
Yeah, American Sniper needed to take a pause on his movie and call his wife just to make sure that she would be in the vicinity so he could snipe out all the remaining aliens in sight.
Anyways, it's
time for
spoilers.
So
Movie starts off.
Yeah, I'll let you run through it there.
Movie starts off with Marie blah blah blah. What's her name?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
This movie starts off with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Movie starts off with Mary Elizabeth Winstead running away from her home that she presumably lives with her boyfriend. As she's running away, boyfriend calls a couple times, says, "Hey, come back, please, blah, 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 I'm sorry." As she's driving, she ends up getting hit by a car. She wakes up in a bunker, awakened to meet John Goodman. John Goodman explains to her that outside there is some bad shit going on.
Like there's been an attack.
Yeah, Fallout, Russians, Martians, who knows. We're also introduced to a side character named Emmett. He's there to help
Serve the plot.
Yeah, help with the plot, help with her to eventually try to escape. The main struggle of the movie is whether or not to trust John Goodman. There's times where he seems genuine, and there's times where he seems very disingenuous. I don't know he seems like he's lying sometimes. I'm like hoping he cuts it and makes me look like a smart person. There's also.
Oh yeah,
you're just gonna seem like that meme kid. If you could, anything.
and then you wanted to. Anyways, there's times where John Goodman seems like he's genuine, telling the truth, and there's times where he seems like he's just flat out lying. As the movie progresses, Emmett and Mary Elizabeth Winstead plot a plan to escape. John Goodman catches onto the plan, leading into one of the most tense scenes in the movie, where John Goodman discovers that they have sharp objects like scissors and knives. Kind of interrogates them about why they have them. Emmett
brings out a barrel of perchloric acid.
Yeah, it dissolves the weapons right in front of him, explaining that it dissolves most biologic material, and Emmett fusses up and says, it was me alone that was trying to take your gun and stuff like that, and John Goodman shoots him on the spot, and then he tries to console Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She ends up going back to her room. John Goodman then comes back to her and offers her ice cream, and he tries to what? What?
You're going so in depth with everything that doesn't need to be said.
Listen, ice cream.
No, just essentially.
You're glossing over the stuff about John Goodman's daughter. You're touching on ice cream and stuff.
There's parts of my brain.
This don't function.
Listen.
Essentially, what happens throughout the movie is that there's this tension in between John Goodman and the rest of the quote unquote household, which is essentially just the bunker. And there's some side stuff that happens within John's backstory that just kind of get revealed throughout the movie. Like her daughter,
he
who
constantly
isn't really her daughter,
to...
and just constantly refers to his daughter as this person that he looks out to, but his daughter that he talks about...
He shows them a picture of his daughter, and then later on in the movie, Emmett sees the picture, and he's like, that's not his daughter. That's
something else we didn't touch on. Is that Emmett is from that area. So Emmett and John Goodman are the only two characters that somewhat know each other and know the area in which they live in, which Emmett kind of picks up on all that, and he's like, you know what, I saw the flashes, I saw this, I saw that.
Yeah.
So Emmett does play a portion into the plot, but not enough for him to be his own entity as a character.
He sort of plays more into the tug of war aspect, where okay, maybe I believe what John Goodman's saying now.
Yeah, because there's just one other person in here, and he believes the same thing.
This is gonna be a weird cut.
Well, the thing is, too,
It's gonna be like me talking, and then like it's just gonna immediately cut to you guys in the front.
He's just gonna add in a slide that says Taylor lost brain function midway.
Taylor pulled a dumb.
Yeah. So.
John Goodman. Can I continue now?
Yeah.
Okay. John Goodman tries to console her back into living a normal life in the bunker, to where she has enough.
Ice cream.
Shut up. She has enough with him, and she dumps part of the acid barrel onto him, and he's incapacitated. She grabs up all of her supplies, and is making the escape, and he's there to try to stop her. What?
What?
Okay, I thought you were just like, I thought you were like looking at me like,
you keep going.
You're skipping something. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is trying to escape through the air vents. She eventually makes her way to the top, where...
What?
I'm fucking paranoid that you guys are like...
Well, I was just going to mention, you skipped the part where she dumps the acid on him.
I did.
He did say that.
Oh, you did? Well,
yeah.
My brain functions are depleted.
He said he dumped the acid on him and he was incapacitated, which isn't what he was, but we'll just continue.
He was like stuck there for a little bit. It was like,
Incapacitated means that he's like unconscious.
Then put a fucking note at the bottom saying that Taylor's retarded.
We're not supposed to say that.
It's gonna be cut.
No,
He's gonna be sitting. He's gonna be sitting there at the monitor and just like, oh my god, I'm leaving this in. Anyways, so she makes it to the top and she's able to break off the lock to the outside using canned air to freeze it and break it off. And then she goes outside, gets on top of a truck, and notices an alien spaceship.
John Goodman was right.
Yeah.
There's one off comment where he's like, the Martians found a way here maybe or something. They did.
Yep.
It was aliens.
And then she notices that there's also like a dog creature or noises or something like that.
Yeah.
And she just throws a line like, oh, come on.
And then the movie continues way longer than it should. That's my only...
It becomes a different movie.
Yeah, it becomes a completely different movie. And
we should probably say something here in the sense that, like, for me at least, I feel the movie should have just ended with her looking at this spaceship and going, come on.
Yeah, I don't think it should have continued nearly as long as what it did, and the way that it did.
Yeah,
which it just completely changed tone.
If it would have cut there,
right at that 10,
it would have left people
prior.
Yeah, it would have left people. God, we're talking over each other.
It doesn't matter.
We were. It's a mess. Whatever. We're done.
What are you doing?
I'm tired. It's 4:00. So, but yeah, I feel that if it were to just have ended there, it would have had a more impactful. It would have had more of an impact on me.
Yeah, because the way the movie actually ends is that she winds up getting trapped in a car as like the alien spaceship is coming toward her and like releasing all sorts of toxic gas, which is what Howard was referring to when the air was like toxic.
Yeah.
And they can't go outside the bunker. So she's trapped in the car, and the ship, which has like tentacles.
It's like a squid.
It like picks her up in the car, and as luck would have it, biggest coincidence of the whole movie.
There's a lighter, a bottle of alcohol,
and a little piece of cloth.
All right next to her.
All right next to her.
Within the car that's like tilted upside down or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she just grabs it, makes pretty much just a Molotov and just lights
just
it.
One,
and just for some reason she just Peyton Manning that thing into the back of this freaking alien's throat.
As like the tentacles of the ship are pulling her upwards, she manages to throw it straight up vertical into the weird mouth
thing.
The mouth of the technological alien ship.
That didn't think to close its mouth for some reason, and it took like it took like actual scene time, 45 seconds for that mouth to close.
Yeah.
It's like it was so fast before it was like, and then all of a sudden it just slows down. It's just like it doesn't even want to close.
See, this movie started out as just a script that was being passed around from studio to studio, and it had no relation to Cloverfield whatsoever. It ended up landing into the hands of J.J. Abrams, where he got the idea to
That's what J.J. Abrams did. He's
I have an idea.
He's like, oh.
Well, I thought you were pointing at your dad.
No.
Okay.
My dad's upstairs, not in
I
heaven.
I thought you meant that he was like, fucking quiet down.
No.
Yeah, the script ended up landing into the hands of J.J. Abrams, where he ended up creating the idea to...
But he didn't direct this, did he?
He produced it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where he probably created the idea to link it with Cloverfield.
Very loosely.
Yeah.
Wait, so I have a question. I knew briefly that before going into it. What do you mean he turned it into Cloverfield? So it wasn't just an original idea of Cloverfield at all. This wasn't like
it was its own
none of it.
thing. It was like just a bunker movie.
The original script was just called The Cellar.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was basically the entire bunker portion.
I almost wonder if people would have liked it more if it wasn't.
It probably wouldn't have gotten recognition.
Yeah, like I suppose it was a...
Yeah.
I think it was just a trade-off for recognition and like more financial success.
Yeah.
Versus a tiny bit of artistic liberty, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
See, that would have been the thing, though. Is like I don't know that that's true though, because I don't know that I would have appreciated it any less if I didn't know that it was Cloverfield. Like it's me taking it because I haven't seen Cloverfield in such a long time. I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen it at all, actually. But anyway, it's besides the point. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know that it would helps the movie at all to be like, oh, it's Cloverfield, because like I don't.
It probably actually did.
It did for a lot of people, but it didn't for me because I'm not. Like I said, this isn't the usual genre that I watch.
Yeah, you didn't watch it because it's related.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because it was related, and even if, I guess I can't say it from that side, but I don't know that it would have made any difference whether or not the old monster was in with the new. Just the same as like, you guys are probably not mad that the 1998 Godzilla wasn't in the 2014. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because it's a repeated monster and similar effects and stuff like that, it wouldn't have made the movie any better to have an old monster appear. Just because it has, Godzilla on it doesn't make it, repeated content doesn't exactly make it good. Which I think, in this case, is okay. But I didn't know that he produced it.
Yeah, it was its own thing, and then because I've read part of the original script, this movie was PG-13. That movie the original script was kind of a hard R, and what this eventually turned into, the first 95% of the movie, besides the last 5%, was overall probably a better improvement.
Yeah.
And it's just the last 10 minutes is where J.J. Abrams was like, guys, I have this script. We have something. So go ahead and watch all of it. Just know that as soon as she sees the ships and says, "Oh, come on," just kind of turn it off. And just leave it to your imagination.
I wouldn't say turn it off.
Yeah, because it is neat to know what actually happens.
It's kind of cool visually to just see the... I mean, I wanted to watch just because of the aliens, but it was kind of like, oh, this is really excessive. Just like while I'm watching, I'm like, really?
Yeah, because in those 10 minutes, you have the claustrophobia of the other 95% of the movie, and this turns almost into an action movie.
Yeah, for
the whole 10 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very brief.
Small percentage.
It goes from about like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to pitch black at night in the span of about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And then, I mean, I still like the realistic, besides the fight scenes and stuff like that, like the car alarm going off, or the fact that she was getting down, like off the car or whatever, like she wasn't just trying to hide under the car, like she kept running back and forth and back and forth. The thing that I hated about her as a character, the only thing, was that every time something had happened with an alien or somebody else, she screamed. and she was like hiding from them. Like
She-
something would knock on the door. She's like, ah! And you're like, that creature definitely heard
she's
that.
she's like looking through a dead body on the ground for the keys to the car that's like got the alarm going off and stuff. She's like,
keys.
You're like, I mean, like
all the things outside.
Yeah, sure, I get it. Like, there's aliens. Like, no one's ever seen this before. But you also managed to keep quiet the entire time you were plotting against Howard in the bunker. The entire rest of the movie, like,
you pick a constant.
yeah. I mean, that's just a trope, though. At this
Yeah.
point.
You know, I feel like I've bashed a lot on little things about the movie. There's really nothing besides the last 10 minutes and certain character, very, 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 very particular character elements about this movie. And that's really just about Michelle. I don't really have anything on John Goodman. I think his character's...
Because he isn't in the last 10 minutes.
Well, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
I also like that too. I think my favorite thing about the movie is how real everything besides the last 10 minutes was. As far as, like, even though she made the suit, it's like, I thought the suit portion of it was cool too. Like, that's how she decided, I'm just gonna make a hazmat suit. She's like, I saw what was outside. I don't really know what's out there, but the air's like, that's all she knew. So when she goes outside, she takes off the mask. She's like looking around, and she gets on top of the car. She's like, oh, let's like see what beyond the cornfield looks like, because that's all that she's seen.
Yeah, like she just sees birds flying in the sky. She's like oh shit, like I could probably breathe.
Yeah, I could. Well, if there's another species out, you know, the portion of the movie where she looked outside, the pigs were dead.
Yeah, early on in the movie, John Goodman's like, look outside, you'll see like the dead pigs.
He lives on the farm.
That's
probably and there's a bunch of cornfields and stuff like that, which is a very like secluded area where there's not like a big city. It's kind of the complete opposite of what Cloverfield, the original, was. So it's kind of like this completely different setting, and she kind of gets out there and with her self-made hazmat suit. Also, probably should have they kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, and I thought that was also kind of cool that she said that she had like a little book or whatever that John Goodman had taken from her car whenever he kind of just kidnapped her or whatever, brought in the book or a box full of her stuff, and inside was like one of the things that she really wanted was like her book with all of her drawings and stuff like that, because I guess she loved to draw like
she
dresses
wanted to design
and she wanted to
fashion
design clothes,
design.
and you never really think much of it though, and it wasn't just like a really tacky element of the movie, I thought, where it was just shoehorned in, where she's like, oh, I know how to make a hazmat suit because I know how to sew.
Yeah.
And she's doing all that, like she actually, it was actually like not shoehorned in. It was like enough to where you go, oh, okay, she could probably know how to do this.
And like even the fact that she designs fashion stuff isn't shoehorned in. Like Emmett doesn't come in and he's like, oh, what are you doing? And she's like, well, you know, I always wanted to be a fashion designer. Like, you just see her drawing fashion. Emmett's like, oh, hey, cool.
Yeah, that's it. There's no,
well, it's even introduced
repetitive.
at the very beginning of the movie, because in her like apartment, there's like drawings and stuff that's like clipped up.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
from the very beginning.
That's cool.
Well, see, there's like stuff like that. Like I didn't know that. I mean, if I rewatch it, I might notice it. But like it's like I didn't think about that, and obviously to me it wasn't shoehorned in because I had no idea. But like you said, it's like when you say something's introduced in the very beginning of the movie, you just think it's like, oh hi, yes, I like you. I'm a fashion designer. I make lots of stuff, and I can't wait to get out of here because I have a meeting at 5:30 with, Louis Vuitton. It's like it wasn't like that. It was like, okay, this is something that I wanted to do. I guess I'm not doing that anymore because I'm trapped in this freaking bunker. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then later on, it comes in handy. And she's not like, I'm a fashion designer. I can do this. She like looks over at Evan. She starts stitching shit. Yeah. It was never like that. She just built it and then. Or made it or whatever.
They're really like, this is the plan. They go with it.
Yeah, and then, like we had said earlier, Emmett gets shot, and that was like a really, whoa, like I did not expect that. Because like as much as he,
like you kind of see it coming, but it's still a shock when it happens.
Yeah,
like because the scene is clearly building up to something with this huge barrel of acid that's going to dissolve anything in front of them all.
Yeah, but. So was him, like, she beat the shit out of him the entire movie, and he did nothing.
Oh, yeah.
He did nothing.
Yeah.
And he
probably
did absolutely nothing.
It's probably part of his psychosis where he kind of wants another Megan.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing with Michelle.
I also
He's
wonder
like dressed
what happened to her too, because like if she wasn't really there, and then those earrings were missing.
She's probably in a barrel.
Yeah, but that's my question. Is like why? If he missed her so much, then why would she be in a barrel? That's my question. Is if he really loved her that much, why would he have taken her away?
I got angry at her.
I mean,
he's crazy.
I
Crazy
don't
man.
know. That's like a portion of the story that I wish.
Focused a little bit more on his crazy.
I don't know that crazy is what it is. I think it was more of the aneurysms that I wish he had, because he kind of just very mellow after shit hit the fan.
He's pretty calm, like the entire movie up until like right as he's
being
meeting his end.
Yeah. And like another part that was kind of confusing was he's stabbing it, trying to kill her, and he goes, "Please stay." Does he just want the dead body?
I mean, how rationally would you act when your hand is like mush and half your face is just?
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Like,
I wouldn't beg somebody to stay while trying to stab him. I think is my thing. You know,
I think
like,
he's probably
please
just
stay.
But we're getting deep, all right. He probably just doesn't want to be alone, whether it's with a person that wants to be with him or not.
I mean, I think he's also just
crazy.
Bad shit, crazy.
Well, yeah, but also like kind of just like a pedophile in a sense, because like they're playing like the whatever game it is where they have to
Life.
No, not Life, where they got the timer going.
Yeah.
And Emmett's got that little card or whatever, and he has to like name the word woman, and so he's like, "Oh, Michelle is a," and John Goodman just keeps saying like, "Oh, girl, little princess," and
I feel like it could be interpreted in two ways. Like you got kind of a pedophile vibe. I kind of got like, because that's very easy to just immediately give them the pedophile vibe.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, John Goodman in this role.
He is a weirdo, yes.
He also looks the part, though. Like, it would be different if he was like a Ryan Gosling just comes in there. It's like, he probably wouldn't be a pedophile. He looks normal. But, like, John Goodman in this role, you're like, oh, he's definitely doing something behind
I feel like they were
weird-ass
probably
curtain.
trying to stray away from that. And I think that he's just wanting, like, a daughter figure, not necessarily that he's attracted to one. But he just wants to feel like a dad.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. 1 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Rating.
yeah.
Rating. That's the one I gotta do, because do the other one.
I'd give it like a solid 7.5, 8, maybe. I don't think it's that rewatchable, unless it's been a long, long time since you've seen it. Like, oh, pop it in again.
That's usually how I go off of movies.
Yeah.
That would almost be like if I was in the hospital, like in the waiting room, and it came on, I'd be like, oh, cool, I'll watch. Like, I'll pay attention, it's not like a Wheel of Fortune where you're kind of like, oh, who the hell cares, Susan, It's kind of like you just kind of just pay attention to it a little bit and just kind of watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what that is. Me?
Mm-hmm.
Would I rate it? I rate it a 7, but only because it's not, like I said, it's not a very memorable. It's not a very memorable movie. You don't really take anything away from it. There's not a cool soundtrack you can listen to on the side. This is not something that you could like bring a whole bunch of people together and be like, hey, let's watch this movie. This isn't a quotable movie. This isn't like a movie that you're like, oh my god, this changed my life. There's not a huge, amazing story about it. It's just a movie. It tells a story. And it does that purpose very well, and I'll give it that. But there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing generally special about it in a sense. It's just is what it is.
Yeah, hardly in a bad way though.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's not a bad thing that it happened. It did it fairly well, but it's not. It's not like Interstellar was to me when I first saw it, or like a Good Will Hunting to some of those poetic freaks out there, or you know, some of those other movies, or if you're like a suburban white mom, like The Blind Side, like, oh my god, it touched my heart. Like, it just wasn't one of those movies to me.
Yeah,
I think it wouldn't be that to a lot of people.
It's a good experience though. Like,
Yeah.
have fun watching it. You're intrigued.
So I probably rated it a 7.
Yeah, I also give it a 7.5, something like that.
Yeah.
Around that ballpark.
Yeah, if you really let the last 10 minutes get to you, as if it's something that is gonna ruin the movie for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Just imagine the ending being right after she says, "Oh, come on." Just imagine that being the ending. This is a good way. Good way to think about it.
You know what? Before I said don't think about it that way, and now I'm thinking about it more. I really do think that you probably should just, watch it the first time, but then probably rewind it and then stop it there and be like, okay, that's so much better. Just to know.
Yeah.
That, in your head, if you could just delete the last 10 minutes of that movie, you'd be like, oh. And the thing is, too, on the rating scale for this movie, it's kind of weird because the reason why I don't give it a 10 is because based on other movies, it's only because this one isn't memorable. In comparison to all of my other favorite movies that I do think are memorable, this movie as a standalone, as its own thing, I would venture to say it's like an 8.5 to 9. Only because low budget, which I find attractive.
It's so sexy. I like it. I'm still trying to cut this out.
I like the character development between characters. I like some of the surprising stuff that happens. As much as I was like, oh, there's something happening, I didn't really expect Emmett to die. And then, I like how smart the characters were. You hardly ever see that. The visual effects weren't completely outrageous with anything either.
Yeah.
Which wasn't needed because there was only 10 minutes of clusterfuck at the very end that involved any of that. I just think all around, it was just a movie that speaks for itself when you watch it. Mm-hmm. And you don't leave anything. It's kind of like that first girlfriend, or that second girlfriend. Not the first one, the second one. Where you
talking to a
it is
bunch
what it is.
of 12-year-olds.
It is what it is for the time being. Then once you're done with it, you don't really think much of it.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's not like the first one. It's not like the first girlfriend, Cloverfield. That was a memorable one. A lot of people liked it.
That was a good one.
A lot of people liked it. And the second one.
You go into the second one expecting the same thing you got out of the first.
It just wasn't
but you don't.
You don't, and it's okay.
Look at us coming up with these deep analogies
God
for
damn,
Cloverfield.
Cheryl left me high and dry. Fuck you, Cheryl. Anyways, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
It's only been 4 hours. I woke up.
We've been here nearly 12 hours.
Oh my god.
Whoa, that's weird. I didn't think about that.
I mean, we usually are. Tired. I'm getting there again.
Are you tired?
No.
I'm not even tired anymore.
You're inhuman.
Dude, I've been up for... I took a nap, but other than that, I have to wake up at 5.
For what?
Every day, I wake up at 5. So technically, I would have to wake up in 39 minutes. Huh?
I mean, yeah, if I were to have work today, I'd be waking up in 30. Or wait, no, not... Yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, same.
I'd be waking up in about 7 hours anyway.
Dude, yeah, you never sleep.
This is why Zonefighter's been delayed. We're up doing this.
Well, this is the first time we've done this. I kind of like this, though. I wish we did more. I wish it was more structured, though. I wish we had segments. Yeah. We need to write out an outline.
We usually kind of do. We usually do...
We're cutting this part out, by the way.
Yeah, it's...
Hold on. 3, 2.
I'm fucking done. Anyways, thank you for watching another review of anything at 4:23 in the morning. Jesus.
Good night.
This might be our longest one yet for 10 Cloverfield Lane of all
this. This is not even... This is going to be like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we had one that was 37.
Yeah,
Monster Planet was 37. Colossals.
We're already at 26. We're already at 26 minutes right now, and this is on the second video, which means that this is 56 minutes long. as of right now.
Yeah.
But you're going to be cutting out.
We're making it longer right now. Okay.
You can cut it out. We already did the outro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye everyone.
See ya.
What? We're still recording?
Yeah.
No!